Good morning and welcome back to Authentically Her After 40. My name is Natalie. I keep talking about how after 40 we don't shrink anymore. And what is the biggest thing you can do not to shrink? Now, I know recently I've been talking about boundaries. Yes, we need those boundaries because we need to know where we end and someone else starts. We're not joined at the hip to anyone. We don't have the same goals as other people. And even if you're married, you may have goals that you have together, and then you're going to have separate goals. There needs to be a boundary about where those community goals are, where those, what's the word I'm looking for? Those, I don't know. Anyway, the community goals, the ones that you have together, right? There's probably a better word for it. And I can't think about it, right? I can't think of it right now. So you guys let me know. But, and then where you start, where they end, right? Where you end, where they start. And we need to do that with all our relationships because generally we have an auric field, I'm going to call it. Like you, and most of us call it our personal space. So you have your personal space, right? And your personal space is going to be different with different people. So someone that you're very, very intimate with will get pretty up close and personal. And so just because someone can, and you can get up close and personal with someone, doesn't mean that you want everyone up close and personal. If I go to the grocery store, I need space. Most of us need at least 4 feet apart from people, just to have 3 to 4 feet, just to have a comfort level. And if you sense danger, you may even want a longer distance. You may want 10 feet, right? And it's going to depend on the vibe that you get from the person and the vibe that they get from you. So someone cannot dictate to you that it's okay to be up close and personal because they feel like it. It has that space as you get closer, has to be agreed upon by both parties. And so just like everything else in your life, if you have a relationship, any type of relationship, it doesn't matter, you have to have agreement. You make agreements with the parties. One person cannot make an agreement for you. Now, interesting is that when you were growing up, your parents made those agreements for you. And then they turned over responsibility to your school or your teacher, maybe a relative that took care of you. And as you got older, depending on how tight they kept you in that space, it may have taken you longer and longer and longer to find your voice. And when you go through your teenage years, and teenagers rebel because of this, but when you go through your teenage years and you don't have your voice, you don't have your voice. As you get older and you get into your romantic relationships, maybe close friendships, you have trouble navigating your voice in those relationships, and people will take that as consent to say whatever they will. So when you start to take back your power, ladies, it's very important when you're setting boundaries, not just do you set those boundaries, but you start to find a way to use your voice. Now at first your voice may crack. Oh, it's gonna crack. You make because you're gonna be nervous, right? You're gonna have to tell that person that you never said no to, you're gonna have to say no. Oh, your voice is gonna crack. And if it doesn't at first, they're gonna try to make you crack. There will be a clapback for saying no or not agreeing with them. Like, how dare you? Really? That's what you think? How can you think that? They will question you in a way that's somewhat rhetorical, as if to say, like, how can you have such an opinion? And so what I challenge you to do today is I challenge you to, no matter what that opinion is that you have, whether you decide that it's right, wrong, or indifferent, 5 days from now, 5 months from now, 5 years from now, use your voice. Whatever it is, form an opinion, hold your ground, and know that you can change your mind if you choose to. Do your research. I'm not saying be an ass. I'm saying find a spot and stand your ground, and you have to start using your voice. You really have to start using your voice, because I have found, anyway, just from even being on, having a YouTube channel, which I knew it was gonna be helpful. I think when I started this channel, it was more of me saying I wanted to do something. I wanted to find my creativity. And I didn't realize that part of finding my creativity was gonna be finding my voice. And even today, I may come here and I may say something I may change my mind. I may have a different opinion based on things that I learned, because we're not infallible. No one's infallible. And that's the thing. People will try to hold you to standards that are impossible, because first of all, it's impossible for you to know everything that you need to know. And then somehow we've been told that we can't speak unless we know everything, because what we say has to be perfect. And I believe that's false. I think that when I speak, some of you may make a comment that gives me food for thought. So when I speak, it's not an absolute. It's a discussion. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard this as a child, that things are not up for discussion. Well, that becomes a problem when you get older. When you spent your whole life and things were not up for discussion, how do you learn to have a discussion? And then you just start thinking, well, if I go to work, then I can't say anything unless I'm right. So unless I absolutely know I'm right, because heaven forbid someone will come back and tell me that I'm wrong. But when you start using your voice and you start learning that it's okay not to be right all the time, it's okay to have an opinion that changes. It's okay for someone to tell you that they don't agree with you, and for you not to change your mind to agree with them, or to change your mind and agree with them. But see, at the end of the day, it's up to you. You're going to go learn to look within yourself and make that decision for yourself, not based solely on being coerced. I call it coercion by the other person. And it's really interesting that when we're younger and things are not up for discussion, that we grow up and we relinquish our right, our sovereignty in thought, in speech. And it becomes normalized. The people around you will normalize it, because people will take the fact that you're not saying anything as approval. So we need to remember that. It's like being in a situation where you're watching someone get abused, or you're watching something terrible or something bad happen, or someone say something that you don't agree with, and you stay quiet. When you stay quiet, this is as strong as speaking. So if your silence is as strong as your speech, you may as well speak up and say what you think, instead of letting people assume that you're in agreement. And especially if you're not in agreement. If you're in agreement, then fine, silence. You don't need to say a lot. It's not every time either that you're not in agreement with someone that you have to speak. So let me say that, like, if you're in a dangerous situation and you know that, it's hostile, like, maybe that's not the point, but then you need to take some actions without speaking that still align with what you think. I'm not going to tell anyone or everyone out there to go out there and start a YouTube channel, because the challenge also is, when you start to speak, is what do you say? Because in the past, when you're told that things are not up for discussion, many times when you do speak, it's a lot of rambling. And when I say it's a lot of rambling, it's a lot of I call it diarrhea of the mouth. Like, you start telling people things that they don't need to know, because you're trying to find your voice, right? You're giving away so much information about yourself that allows people to further come in and breach your boundary, get into your personal space when maybe that's not where you want them. So the challenge actually was for me is How much did I want to come here and say? How much was I ready to say? And how was I going to say? A little bit at a time, as you gain your voice back, you'll find that it gets easier. You get more confident, and then you'll decide what is actually appropriate for you, not for somebody else, for you to say and not to say. And sometimes the things you say, other people may not agree with, just like some things they said for a long time you didn't agree with, right? And they didn't seem to mind. They didn't seem to care. But they took your silence for agreement, as if you were acquiescing to what they wanted. Now, using your voice is also teaching you that it's okay to disagree. And that if people want to pull away from you because they do not agree with you, that too is okay. See, being sovereign is kind of a lonely space sometimes. At the beginning anyway. It's lonely. It is so lonely. But, it's lonely for a reason, and it's lonely for a season. Because eventually, you find other like-minded people like yourself who are also sovereign in their thought, where you can have open discussions and you understand each other and you understand that everyone is fallible and you support each other even when you don't agree with each other. And that's beautiful. But to do that, you have to have boundaries. And then what did I say? You have to start using your voice. Even if you stutter. Even if it sounds crazy. For me, using my voice, learning to use my voice again in such a way was really hard. And so you will find at times I repeat myself because it's almost as if I have to say it 2 or 3 times so that I can hear myself to see whether or not is that what I wanted to say. And I learned to do that out loud. And so sometimes even when I come and make videos, you will hear me say something and then you will hear me say something again. But I believe that once you start speaking your voice, you start having to repeat yourself a lot less. So anyway, just a quick tip for you this morning. I wanted to stop in and say hi to my beautiful women out there who are all trying to find their voices, find who you are. Listen, this is a journey. It's not a destination. And as you evolve and you find who you are, you will reinvent yourself again and again and again. And that's the beauty of it, right? You can change your mind. You can say, I don't want to be that person. This is who I want to be, and switch it up a bit. And that's not being fake. It's just who you want to be. And who is anyone else to tell you who you want to be? Only you know. Only you know who you're supposed to be in this life. And once you figure it out, you're going to show up shining. And I'm going to be right here with you, watching you shine. So drop me a comment. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, so you can be notified the next time I upload a new video. And keep weaving that dream. Keep loving on yourself. Because after 40, we say what we think, and we don't shrink anymore. All right. I love you. See you in the next one.